Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating concept from our sources known as the Kingdom Business Framework. For a long, long time, the corporate world and the spiritual world have been treated like oil and water. Sunday faith in one bucket and Monday work in a completely different one. But the sources we're looking at today propose a radical merger of the two, exploring a model that attempts to totally reshape traditional corporate structures. Okay, let's look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with beyond just making money, then look at the 5 core spirits, explore a shift in perspective, identify traits of maturity, break down 7 directions for action, and finally wrap up with the ultimate vision. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Beyond just making money.
So right off the bat, this framework challenges a super common assumption, the idea that business is strictly secular while ministry is uniquely sacred. According to sources like China Source, this model is often called BAM, or business as mission, and it defines a kingdom business as a for-profit enterprise that actually balances spiritual, social, and economic impact. We're talking about a fully operational, revenue-generating business, but one that's used as an active platform to transform literally everything, from personal lives all the way up to national development.
Now, our sources are really clear about what this is not. It's not just some corporate wrapper used to sneak in evangelism, and it's definitely not just a cash cow meant to fund separate charities on the side. Instead, it's about operating the business itself as a divine calling and ministry. It completely rejects that old-school notion of doing the secular, grinding work by day just so you can afford to do ministry by night. In this model, the daily operations are the ministry.
Moving on to Section 2, the 5 core spirits.
To really grasp how this operates, we have to start with a pretty direct question. Who really owns your business? This deeply challenges the conventional mindset of a CEO, an entrepreneur, or a majority shareholder. Because in the standard corporate playbook, the founder or the shareholders own the company, right? But this framework introduces a totally different apex to the organizational chart. And the source material anchors its answer in this scriptural quote from Psalm 24:1. "The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it." This introduces the absolute pivotal concept here, that God is the ultimate owner of the enterprise. The entrepreneur or the CEO, well, they're merely a steward or a manager of those resources. When a leader views themselves as a steward rather than the big boss or ultimate owner, the defining question of the business totally shifts. It goes from, how can I maximize my personal wealth, to how does the true owner want this company to bless the world? Building on that foundation, the sources outline 5 core spirits. First, as we just saw, God is the owner. Second is the pursuit of profit plus purpose. And look, profit is absolutely crucial for sustainability and job creation. Without it, the business just fails, but it's not the only metric. Third, work is worship. The framework argues there is literally no divide between the sacred and the secular, so every single email sent and every product shipped is considered an act of worship. Fourth, the business has to create culture impact through integrity, excellence, and servant leadership. And finally, fifth, the ultimate goal is holistic transformation. We're talking about creating positive change in individuals, families, communities, and even entire nations. All right, Section 3, a shift in perspective. Let's put these worldviews in a direct side-by-side collision and see how they actually stack up. The differences are pretty stark. In a general business, the ultimate goal is profit maximization. But in a kingdom business, it's kingdom impact. A traditional company prioritizes shareholder interests, whereas this model prioritizes a divine mission. But pay close attention to the shift regarding employees. Usually, they're viewed as human resources, assets to be optimized. Under this framework, viewing them as individuals loved by God drastically changes how your HR functions. Work transitions from being just a career to being a true calling. And finally, success isn't just about earning more money. Success is defined as glorifying God and actively blessing the world. It's a completely fundamental contrast. Next up, Section 4, traits of maturity. So you might be wondering, what does a mature company operating under these principles actually look like in the real world? Well, the sources identify 5 specific traits. First up is faithfulness, which translates to unshakable integrity and high-quality products. Second is freedom, meaning a culture that really respects personal growth and encourages innovation. But the third and fifth traits, healing and grace, these are truly unique to this model. In a typical corporate environment, you rarely see healing or grace listed as KPIs, right? But here, they are absolutely essential. They translate into practical corporate actions, like actively restoring broken workplace relationships, supporting employees through personal crises, and generously sharing resources rather than ruthlessly competing.
Moving right along to Section 5, 7 Directions for Action.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the framework takes these kind of lofty ideals and breaks them down into 7 really specific directions for action across different stakeholders. Starting internally, the theology of valuing people materializes directly in how employees and clients are treated. For employees, this means guaranteeing fair wages, providing genuine family care, fostering a healthy culture, and heavily investing in training. For clients, it absolutely demands honest trading and excellent service. There is zero room for deceptive marketing or cutting corners here, because treating a client poorly would just totally contradict the core spirit of servant leadership. Expanding the scope outward, the business has to generate a positive ripple effect outside the office walls. For the local community, this means intentionally creating jobs and stepping up to support the vulnerable. For the church, it means forming collaborative partnerships to equip people to carry these exact principles into other workplaces. The business essentially acts as an anchor for the community, rather than just an economic extractor. To complete these action steps, we zoom out to the macro level. Environmentally, the framework mandates sustainable operations. Because, think about it, if the earth belongs to God, polluting it is considered terrible stewardship. Nationally, the business is called to be a force for positive cultural and economic change. And finally, directed toward God, the ultimate action is to ensure the business glorifies its creator, rather than just feeding the ego of the founder. And finally, Section 6, the ultimate vision. So the crucial point is, bringing all these individual puzzle pieces together, the core thesis of the source material is summarized by one really powerful idea: make business an altar of worship. According to this model, a business is not just a machine for generating wealth. It becomes an active, daily channel for earthly blessing. From the supply chain all the way to the customer service desk, every single aspect of the enterprise is transformed into a place where these values are practiced and people are truly elevated. I want to leave you with this final thought as we wrap up this explainer. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a manager, or someone clocking in 9 to 5, is your workplace just a place to earn a living, or is it an altar waiting to be built? It's a really provocative question that the Kingdom Business Framework asks of everyone. It challenges us to look at our daily grind not as a distraction from what truly matters, but as the very place where profound impact happens. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. I hope it sparked some curiosity about the true potential of our daily work.